Hello everyone. Today we understand consistency, which is the C in the acid. Consistency means that every transaction must take the database from one valid state to another. The key idea of consistency is that whatever business rules that are defined in your database for that particular project should be always true. For example, if you take any banking example, then in banks we have that account should always be greater than account amount should always be greater than 0, or the age of the user should be greater than 18. These are all constraints. These should always be true whenever you start a transaction, complete a transaction. So that is the basic idea of consistency. Let's take an example of bank example. Suppose you have a rule that an account balance cannot be negative. Okay, so this is a valid constraint. Account balance should be greater than or equal to 0. Now the valid state is A is 1000, B is 500. Okay, that are valid state. Suppose now A decides to withdraw uh, 2 rupees 2000. If database allows this operation, then the balance becomes negative, which is incorrect. This violates our business rule. So constraint is violated. Okay, to prevent this, database uses constraint. For example, we can define a check constraint where it will ensure that the balance is always greater than or equal to 0. Okay. When a transaction attempts to break this rule, the database rejects the transaction. So here in this example, the transaction rejected it because once you execute this particular query, your account balance will become negative, which is not equal to this valid constraint. So the transaction rejected this, and that is the reason it got rolled back. When the transaction attempts to break this rule, the database rejects the transaction. The data remains unchanged. This is consistency. Consistency ensures that all the rules, constraints, relationship, and validations are true before and after the transaction. Consistency makes sure and it does not allow us to store invalid data. This is the core idea behind the consistency. Let me show you this with an example. Of, so this is the DB viewer I'm using for database. I'll be creating a user table, accounts table that has a check constraint on balance, that balance should be greater than equal to 0. So I'll just create this table accounts. So this table is created where I have added this constraint. I'll just show you. So this is a Postgres database, and this is the PG DB viewer as a to view the data. So here you can see constraints. I have added this particular constraint, account balance check, where balance is greater than 0. So this is now job of a database to keep this in check. Next I'll insert a dummy data. Okay, this data has been inserted. Okay, now if I try to do any success operation where I'll just remove uh, deduct 100 rupees from the account, so it's a valid transaction. It should happen. That happened. Why? Because it's the constraint is still true that account balance is greater than 0. So here account balance is still 900 and it is true. Now if I suppose I try to remove 2000. Okay, so here you can see if I try to remove 2000, which will make the balance negative, and then check constraint will get active. So I got an error saying new row account violation check for this particular constraint. So the database is actually rejecting it. It's not the code. The database, you will get this same SQL error 2351. This is the error code that the database is rejecting this particular transaction and it has reverted to the previous valid state. So here this was your previous valid state 900. So it has not executed the actual transaction of deducting the 2000 amount and making your account balance as negative. So this is how database uses consistency and the data remains intact. Thank you.